If you like the story, you can support the author on Patreon. Link is in the description.
Chapter 47, What was covering Sasuke's eyes and mouth? Yes, Natsuo brought Sasuke to the club. It's not that he wants to make fun of Urushizi. Anyway, Uchiha Sara in the Boruto series showed that the Sharingan can also be awakened with emotions like longing or love, so who knows, this could be a crucial step in understanding the Sharingan better. Yes, this is why he brought Sasuke to the club. After such a long time, Uchiha Entertainment Street's reputation has been completely established. Not only the locals of Konoha village, but also many people from the capital of the Fire Country have heard of its fame and come here out of curiosity. What attracts people here is no longer just women who want to marry into a wealthy family. More and more men who are attracted by these women are starting to occupy a place here. Naturally, some places specifically for men's services have also emerged. The place Natsuo brought Sasuke to is exactly such a club that specializes in serving men. Sasuke looked confused, coming here to awaken the Sharingan? Did I mishear? You wanted to have strong emotions, didn't you? Natsuo looked at Sasuke. If you want to feel strong emotions, shut up and follow me. Is the excitement you're talking about the same as the excitement I want? Sasuke opened his mouth, almost blurting it out. Hurry up and come in and be careful not to accidentally undo the transformation technique. Natsuo looked at Sasuke to keep up with him and then walked inside. Of course, he wouldn't enter the club in his true form. Although Natsuo often uses his fame to promote Uchiha clan's bars and dance halls to attract women, the club in front of him clearly specializes in men's business. If Natsuo were to enter such a club, it would only tarnish his reputation and discourage the millions of women who want to marry into the Uchiha clan. Moreover, this club is not even owned by the Uchiha clan. It is a business that was attracted by the Uchiha clan's investment. In theory, apart from some rent, it has no connection with the Uchiha clan. Of course, if investigated thoroughly, it might be found that the Uchiha family owns a large portion of the club's shares. Sasuke opened his mouth to want to say something, but finally followed Natsuo inside. Both of them transformed into young men in their 20s. Seeing them enter together seemed a little like two brothers going to look for escorts. Entering the club, even Sasuke couldn't help but look around. It's a man's instinct. Although Sasuke is mostly indifferent to women and is still young. But as he looked at the luxurious decoration, the escorts in black stockings coming and going, and the faintly heard disharmonious sounds, a surge of agitation arose in his heart. Sasuke, at such a young age, didn't understand the origin of this agitation, but he felt a hint of restlessness in his mouth. On the other hand, Natsuo also contacted the manager. With a bunch of doting wives at home, he naturally wouldn't come to a place like this. But as a major shareholder, he naturally has the right to mobilize manpower. So, Natsuo quickly led Sasuke to a large room. Then Natsuo took out a bunch of ropes. Come on, Sasuke, stand against this pillar. Natsuo held the ropes and started to wrap them around Sasuke. Sasuke was completely bewildered. Wait! Natsuo! It wasn't until he was halfway tied up that he suddenly woke up and couldn't help but say, "What are you doing? I'm not interested in playing this kind of game." After all, he is a ninja, especially since his only relative is in a harem every day. Although Sasuke is young, he still knows a thing or two about certain things. He also knows about this game, and he has even heard that Natsuo has played it. Several female ninjas under Orochimaru's command were very interested in this aspect. But Natsuo was responsible for tying people up in those games. So why is he the one being tied up now? Natsuo! What are you thinking? Sasuke couldn't help but shout loudly and began to struggle. Don't tell me you are using this game to help me awaken the Uchiha clan's Sharingan. This kind of Sharingan is not the pride of the Uchiha, but the shame of the Uchiha. Wait, what are you thinking? Natsuo replied impatiently with a disdainful look. You're so young, yet you have so many thoughts. Don't worry, it has nothing to do with what you're thinking. If I really wanted to use those methods to help you awaken the Sharingan, wouldn't Ataka go crazy and come to kill us? Natsuo thought. Just stay still and trust me, I promise I won't harm you. Don't you want to awaken the Sharingan? Just be honest. After scolding Sasuke a couple of times, Natsuo finally managed to calm him down. He securely tied up Sasuke, using professional ninja techniques to ensure that even if Sasuke struggled, he wouldn't be able to break free. Sasuke could only suppress his uneasiness and ask, "What are you going to do?" "What am I going to do?" "Just watch." Natsuo turned and walked towards the club manager. "Let's begin." The manager nodded and quickly brought a group of escorts. Then a large group of attractive women entered, with various body types, wearing black stockings and giving off a seductive atmosphere. Even young Sasuke couldn't help but swallow his saliva subconsciously. There was no way around it, it was a natural reaction for a man, even for a boy. And in the next second, the attractive women surged forward. "Oh, is it us that the young master has chosen? Hehe, this method is quite interesting. Young master, is it uncomfortable being tied up? Let the sisters help you relax, okay? Oh my, you're so naughty." The escorts playfully bantered, but their delicate hands gently caressed Sasuke's skin. They leaned closer to Sasuke, pressing their soft bodies against him. Sasuke was completely panicked. "Wait! Natsuo, what is this?" Before he could finish speaking, his mouth was covered. He tried to signal with his eyes, but something quickly covered his eyes. Now the question is, what covered Sasuke's eyes and blocked his mouth? The escorts smiled brightly. "Young maestro, you're so cute, your face is even turning red." Sasuke, woo. Humiliation? Anger? Desire? All mixed together, forming a unique emotion that erupted in Sasuke's heart. He desired something, but he was tied to a pillar and couldn't obtain what he wanted. Natsuo stood not far away, smiling without saying a word. The strongest human emotion is fear, and the most enduring emotion is desire. Until now it was only believed that the awakening of the Sharingan must always be accompanied by negative emotions. I, Uchiha Natsuo, will definitely lead the Uchiha clan down a path that not even Uchiha Madara could have imagined. Chapter 48, this ability also has this effect. Continuously stimulating people's instinctive desires, but being firmly bound, unable to obtain, and finally erupting. Of course, the provocative words of the young ladies were also a factor in Sasuke's awakening. Natsuo specifically instructed the escorts to occasionally mention phrases like getting hard or having a reaction when referring to Sasuke, constantly stimulating his self-esteem. And after this series of stimulation, Sasuke's spiritual power finally skyrocketed, breaking through the original restraints. He awakened his eyes. To be more precise, he stabilized the already awakened Sharingan. But Sasuke himself didn't feel good. "So, this is your method of awakening?" Sasuke's face was filled with embarrassment and anger. Just as he was let down by Natsuo, he grabbed Natsuo's collar. "Of course not." Natsuo didn't hesitate to say, "This method is not suitable for me. After all, do you think I would feel ashamed about this kind of thing?" Natsuo was not like Sasuke, an innocent little boy. Having experienced countless battles, he was not someone that this group of escorts could stimulate. Not to mention the shame. "I've already opened up a harem, and you're still talking to me about shame? Then why did you use this method on me?" Sasuke was furious. "Can't you use your own method to awaken me? It won't work for you." Natsuo spread his hands and said. Sasuke became even angrier. "How do you know it won't work for me?" "Oh, because when I awakened my eyes, I borrowed Anko's power. She asked me for a whole night, but halfway through I ran out of power and then she had an expression of 'that's it.' Can't you any more continue? Then in a fit of rage my Sharingan evolved. Natsuo helplessly said, if you want to use my method, first you have to find more women. Suzuki. Of course, the actual situation was not as Natsuo described. But at least it could serve as an excuse. After all, isn't it normal for a man's dignity to be hurt and awaken his eyes? Suzuki opened his mouth, but he couldn't refute this reason because it was a solution he couldn't imitate. Don't make that expression. Natsuo smiled and said, feel good, you really awakened your Sharingan. A 9-year-old boy with the Sharingan awakened, you really are a genius. If I knew it was done using this method, I would rather not awaken these eyes. Suzuki said angrily. He felt that his self-esteem had been injured. I asked you before I took action. Natsuo spread his hands, indicating that he shouldn't be blamed, and cough, Suzuki, don't you need to clean up in the bathroom? Clean up? Yeah, don't you feel your pants are a bit wet? You. He glared at Natsuo with anger, and then as if he was fleeing for his life, he ran away in a hurry. Natsuo shook his head gently. Young people today have very thin skin. Many men want to experience this kind of pleasure, but I never invited them. He laughed lightly, then turned and left. The awakening of Sasuke's Sharingan may have started as a joke, but it was also a test. If he wants to regain the honor of the Uchiha clan, he has to have a very strong mentality. I have sacrificed too much for the Uchiha clan. In the following days, Natsuo continued to study medical techniques. After hard work, he finally managed to revitalize the Hashirama cells and Jago cells and make them replicate themselves. For this, he also spent a lot of money to purchase a batch of research equipment. He also had some ideas he wanted to try. But to carry out tests for his ideas, he would need more expensive scientific research equipment. The Uchiha clan was not lacking in money, but this kind of equipment had very low demand, and manufacturers only started production when they received an order for one. Even if you have money, it's difficult to buy it quickly. I still have to wait for the machines to arrive. So, during this time, let's focus on reviving the Uchiha clan. Most importantly, Natsuo also got an unexpected surprise from Uzumaki Yoko. The evening is gone. The darkness makes little sound except for the two of us. As I look down at her, the sweat falls, her face catching each drop, her tongue tasting those in reach. Her hand on mine, her intentions clear. My heart pounds heavily in my chest, trying to catch my breath. She is waiting for our next connection with a burning fever. I can see her eyes in the darkness, that fiery glow lets me know I must call upon more strength. Now our hands are locked tightly. Uzumaki Yoko suddenly blushed and her voice broke the silence. Lord Natsuo, do you know that our Uzumaki clan has a special secret technique called physical healing? It is a very powerful technique. You mean how Kyuzagakure was recovering during the war with your help, right? I know. Natsuo was taken aback and said, but what does that have to do with me? Physical healing can quickly restore chakra and injuries, self or others, by biting into the user's skin and absorbing their chakra. But he wasn't injured, and his chakra was abundant. Why would he need that? No, what I mean is... Yoko bit Natsuo's ear, her voice filled with shyness. This ability can actually also restore a person's physical strength, vitality. Yes, it includes that aspect. As long as you bite me, you can recover. Natsuo. What the hell, physical healing has this kind of effect? I have to experience it for myself. Then Natsuo said. Then we can try. Before he finished speaking, she said yes. Emboldened, I got a little excited, laughed, and asked for something even more loving. The lustful wench nodded without blinking. Chapter 49, a short story about the Uchiha clan. In recent days, Natsuo's experience with the effect of Uzumaki Yoko's physical healing has shown that this healing ability is really good, only surpassed by his own Manjiki technique Aim no Uzume. Although physical healing itself does not need to be supplemented with spiritual energy, as it is only a byproduct of healing. But it does need to consume a little more chakra. Of course, Natsuo mainly uses the Manjiki technique Aim no Uzume, which is the name of the technique he obtained by awakening the Manjiki Sharingan. But so far, Natsuo has not felt any deterioration in his vision, and the consumption of pupil power is even less than if he performed ordinary genjutsu. This power is what gives Natsuo the confidence to be able to keep a group of wives happy. Uzumaki Yoko's physical healing is just its supplement. An alternating use between both techniques, it is the perfect complement that the Uchiha clan needs to revival. Combining the two techniques, Natsuo feels that he can fight continuously for several days and nights without rest. Thinking about it, I should expand the scale of recruitment. So, Natsuo once again began to select wives for the revival of the Uchiha clan. With a wave of his hand, he recruited many female ninjas who signed up for the task. He even almost caused the male ninjas of Konoha to go berserk. If you take all the beautiful women worth courting, leaving none to others, what should we do? As a result, under the subconscious resistance of the men, some negative public opinion began to spread in Konoha. The kunoichi who marry into the Uchiha clan are all for money. They are all gold diggers. For the sake of marrying into a wealthy family, you give up so much. You are lowly. It's better to cry in the Uchiha mansion than to laugh in a rented house. Why have women become so lowly? Every one of Natsuo's wives is lowly. They may not necessarily think this way sincerely, but they all subconsciously spread such words. Although this kind of talk definitely wouldn't be said in front of Natsuo. However, the quietly circulating rumors gradually spread to the Uchiha clan. Several of Natsuo's wives heard those rumors and their eyes turned red. To be honest, among Natsuo's wives, there are indeed a bunch of gold diggers, who initially pursued becoming rich wives. But Natsuo is handsome, speaks well, is generous, caring, and even impeccable in bed. Over time, he naturally completely captured the hearts of many of his wives. Otherwise, those spies would not have stayed in the Uchiha clan for just over 2 years, and except for Ayako who was brainwashed by Orochimaru, no one else betrayed him. So, when Natsuo heard the rumors in Konoha, he simply regarded those people as talking nonsense. However, the wives couldn't take it anymore. They felt that their self-esteem had been shattered. Some of the wives, with the proudest personalities, even petitioned Natsuo for a divorce. Since they did not want to tarnish the reputation of the Uchiha clan. And at this moment, Natsuo stood up to speak for his wives. Although he wanted to go and beat up all those annoying people, but considering that he was an Uchiha who was only interested in having children to revive the clan, he still couldn't demonstrate his combat power. Then he publicly stated, "I love each and every one of my wives, and I believe that my wives also deeply love me. Perhaps the initial reason we came together was not so pure, but to be able to come this far, our feelings are beyond doubt." Then he seriously reasoned, stating that with the value of his own wives, even if they were to divorce now, they could still live a worry-free life. Since they no longer lack money, yet they willingly stay by my side. Isn't it just love that remains? But there were still people who questioned, since it's all love, why do you still have to give them money? You are tarnishing love with money. If you give money, then it's impure love. However, Natsuo told a true, made-up, story recorded in the history of the Uchiha clan. It is said that Uchiha Madara's father, Uchiha Tajima, issued a special order during the Sengoku period, as many Sharingan of the Uchiha clan were lost and he wanted to recover them. It was stipulated that Uchiha clan members who recovered Sharingan that had fallen into the hands of outsiders could receive a large sum of money as a reward from the clan. Once, Uchiha Madara defeated an enemy in battle and captured a pair of Sharingan. Out of his love for the clan, he handed over the Sharingan to the clan but refused to accept the reward, hoping that the reward could be used to strengthen other aspects of the Uchiha clan, rather than on him, who already had considerable strength. However, Uchiha Madara's father, Uchiha Tajima, earnestly said, "Madara, what you're doing is wrong. Accepting the rewards from the clan won't affect your love for the Uchiha. But by refusing to accept them, thinking that you're morally superior and honorable, you're actually using morality to pressure others not to accept rewards. How many clan members in the future will be willing to fight to recover the Sharingan that has fallen into the hands of the enemy?" After a few days, Uchiha Madara's younger brother, Uchiha Izuna, saved a Uchiha clan member from the enemy at the cost of being injured in battle. Grateful, the clan member gave Izuna their strongest secret technique as a token of gratitude. As the second son of the Uchiha clan leader, Uchiha Izuna didn't actually need a regular clan member's secret technique, but he still accepted it. Upon hearing this, Uchiha Tajima happily said, "Izuna did a great job. Now our Uchiha clan will definitely be willing to help our clan members." Sure enough, the Uchiha clan became more united and stronger. Uchiha Madara was greatly shocked by this. From then on, he started motivating the clan members with both interests and morality, leading the Uchiha to unity, bravery, and hard work, quickly making the Uchiha reach their peak. After the first Hokage created Konoha, Uchiha Madara, based on his father's guidance and his own personal experiences, believed that pursuing peace solely through personal morality and mutual understanding was a mistake. According to Senju Hashirama's method, the shinobi world would never achieve peace. Therefore, he advocated joining forces with Senju Hashirama, to eliminate the other nations and create a world dominated by Konoha, bound by interests, and truly capable of achieving peace. Unfortunately, Senju Hashirama rejected him, leaving the other nations as they were, forcing future generations to continue shedding blood. This story quickly spread throughout Konoha, and everyone was amazed to hear it. Although Uchiha Madara was an enemy who betrayed Konoha, his past reputation was still deeply ingrained in the hearts of the older generation of shinobis. Through oral storytelling, it reached the ears of the new generation of shinobis. After hearing this story, Sasuke also approved of the ideology of this Uchiha ancestor and couldn't help but search for clan records to find a more complete story. People who had personally seen Uchiha Madara, such as the third Hokage and Danzo, couldn't help but recall his personality and imagine the scene of Uchiha Madara being educated by his father, causing them to burst into laughter. Others were caught in deep thought, was Uchiha Madara's way of doing things right or wrong? If Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara joined forces to eliminate the other shinobi villages, would we no longer have to go through these wars in the shinobi world? So many people have died in these wars. Many of Natsuo's wives also stood up for this Uchiha story. Yes, we didn't care before, but now we've completely fallen in love with Natsuo. We didn't want to accept Natsuo's money, but for the revival of the Uchiha, we have no choice but to accept it. We don't love money. We do it for the revival of the Uchiha. If Natsuo needs it, we can give him all our money right now to contribute to the Uchiha clan. And many women actually gave all their money to Natsuo, making him have to return it one by one. After a series of actions, the public opinion finally calmed down. Some of the younger generation of hawkish shinobi strongly agreed with this guiding people with interests story and believed that Konoha should conquer the world in order to truly bring peace to the shinobi world. They even developed a strong curiosity about the unseen Uchiha Madara. As a result, even the way they looked at the Uchiha clan became more favorable. Finally, it's over, Natsuo sighed in relief. He had put in a lot of effort to calm the storm by relying on public opinion. To think that they wanted to rely on public opinion to prevent Kunoichi from marrying into the Uchiha clan and thus affect the resurgence of the Uchiha? Danzo, you old harpy, how have you already recovered from the explosion? You can't be calm without being hit again. Well, although Natsuo had no evidence, he felt that this sudden public opinion storm was Danzo's doing. Whenever any incident happens to the Uchiha clan in Konoha, Shimura Danzo at least has to be responsible for half of it. After all, besides him, who else would target the Uchiha clan? Danzo, I'm innocent. I didn't do it this time. It was you who influenced the men of Konoha and caused their spontaneous behavior. It has nothing to do with me. Regardless of the truth, Natsuo decided to retaliate against Danzo. He changed into black clothes and put on a mask. And he headed towards the root base. Chapter 50, Is this the Sharingan of Uchiha Fugaku? Root is a secret organization that many Konoha ninja have never heard of, even after having existed for years. Therefore, the base of Root is naturally very secretive. But in the end Natsuo was still able to find it. After all, this is an organization that many clan ninjas have joined. Even if Danzo is strict, it is impossible to completely seal off the information about the base of Root. As the head of the Uchiha clan and a Genin, Natsuo, although he didn't pay special attention, he also knew the locations of several Root bases. If the previous aerial bombardment didn't hurt you, then let's try attacking directly. Natsuo put on dark clothes and used a mask to cover his face, then walked directly towards one of Root's bases. He had only taken a few steps near one of the possible bases. And in an instant, several shuriken shot towards him, while several figures quickly ran towards his direction. It's really Root. Their style of attacking without hesitation is much stronger than those trash ninjas from Kyuzagakuer. However, Natsuo only slightly adjusted his position as he advanced, and all those shurikens seemed to deliberately avoid him, all missing their target. The Root ninjas remained silent, like robots, filled with a sense of death. But they didn't hesitate to attack. 3 ninjas rushed towards him, wielding ninja swords, slashing towards Natsuo. The force was so great that if they successfully struck Natsuo, they might not have time to stop their momentum and end up hitting their comrade. However, no one hesitated for a moment. Natsuo remained calm and walked straight ahead, as if he hadn't seen the enemies rushing towards him. But just as they were about to attack, the 3 ninjas suddenly trembled, their eyes turned white, and they instantly fell down. Genjutsu Sharingan. For these Chunin-level ninjas, the genjutsu of the Sharingan is completely unbeatable. The other Root ninjas frowned, their expressions changing slightly. Sharingan. There are only 2 known Sharingan users in the world. One is the defected Uchiha Itachi, and the other is the current Uchiha clan head, Uchiha Natsuo. Which one is it? The Root ninjas speculated in their hearts. And without hesitation, they exchanged a glance with their companions. The companion received the order and went. But before he could take a few steps, Natsuo appeared beside him. Sorry, since I've used the Sharingan, I have no intention of letting you leave alive. Natsuo smiled lightly and casually ended the enemy's life. After all, he is a formidable cage-level powerhouse. How could he let a few ninjas escape from his hands? This is what gives him the confidence to use the Sharingan on the Root ninjas. You won't let us transmit the information. But it doesn't matter. This is Konoha, reinforcements will arrive soon. The captain of the Root ninjas snorted coldly. Keep him entangled, don't let him escape. With the command, Root ninjas continuously emerged from the underground base, launching attacks fearlessly towards Natsuo. Natsuo sneered, forming hand seals with both hands. Fire release, great fire annihilation. The raging flames spew forth from his mouth, forming a towering sea of fire, with scorching waves surging forth. The inferno sweeps through, turning the newly emerged Root ninjas into fireballs. They can no longer maintain their composure, wailing and rolling on the ground, but unable to lower the temperature even a bit. This is just a small Root base, how can it withstand the attack of a cage-level expert? Damn it! Who are you? Why are you attacking us? The captain cries out in pain. His mask has been shattered by the flames, revealing a pained and somewhat numb expression underneath. Natsuo is taken aback, it's actually someone he knows. Tanuki Shigaraki, the biological father of Sumire Kakiai in the Boruto series, is a researcher in the Root organization, a loyal follower of Shimura Danzo. Following the original plot, a few years later, when Danzo was killed, and root was disbanded. Tanuki would be forced to abandon his job. This, along with the idea that Konoha had betrayed Dan's, would cause Tanuki to begin to hate the village and continue his work in the hope of avenging Dan's and root. He finally completed his work, creating new. He would eventually die, but not before training his daughter Sumire Shigaraki into a capable ninja, as well as transferring the Gozuten to her. So, this is a research base of root. This root base was randomly chosen by Natsuo. After all, Danzo's ability to block information is quite impressive. Although the address of the root base is not a secret, few people know what exactly is being done inside. Natsuo blinked and sent Tanuki Shigaraki off with a casual gesture. Then he stepped into the base. There are very few ninjas inside, probably all of them have come out to fight Natsuo. The remaining few were easily dealt with by Natsuo. But looking around, it seems to be just an ordinary underground base, with a few training facilities. It should be a training ground for cultivating new blood for root. There is no trace that this place is a scientific research center for root. This shouldn't be like this. Tanuki Shigaraki is an outstanding researcher. He can even create the ultimate weapon Gozuten made from Hashirama's cells. A person like that wouldn't become the leader of a recruit training camp without any reason. Wait. Hashirama's cells. Natsuo's pupils contracted. His expression became solemn as he carefully sensed his surroundings. Searching inch by inch, he quickly discovered a wall that seemed out of place. With a fierce punch, the wall was forcefully shattered, revealing a high-end research laboratory filled with advanced equipment inside. It was hidden here. Looks like I accidentally discovered Danzo's secret research facility. This high-end experimental equipment are even things that Natsuo could not buy, since to make them, the manufacturer would need to stop production of other equipment to build them. With these things, I can finally start my own laboratory. Natsuo smiled. Then, without hesitation, he took out a storage scroll and began to load the goods. In reality, the valuable items in this research facility are not just a few machines, but also the experimental materials that Danzo painstakingly collected. Senju Hashirama's cells, Uzumaki Kushina's blood, Namikaze Minato's bone marrow. Each one has a specialized machine for preservation to ensure their viability. There are even two unexpected treasures. That is the eyes of Uchiha Fugaku and Uchiha Mikato. These things are actually here with Danzo. Natsuo is shocked. Isn't he afraid of being killed by Itaki? Chapter 51, Elder Danzo, don't you have anything to say? They are the eyes of Uchiha Mikato and Uchiha Fugaku. It's one thing to take the eyes of other Uchihas, but to take the eyes of the corpses of his parents. Isn't Danzo afraid that Uchiha Itaki will come knocking on his door with a Susanoo in a fit of rage? Natsuo was shocked by Danzo's audacity. But upon further thought, this guy has done this kind of thing before. Tsunade is still alive, and how much did she research from her grandfather Senju Hashirama's cells? Itaki probably wouldn't leave his parents' bodies unattended, but as a rogue ninja, even if it's just to show his attitude, he would most likely bury his parents in Konoha. I remember when I signed the cremation agreement, Fugaku's eyes were there, so they must have been switched early on. In fact, not only the eyes of Fugaku and Mikato, but also the eyes of other Uchihas were also left with their bodies at that moment. After all, it was Itaki who openly murdered everyone, and at that moment he attracted everyone's attention. Of course, Natsuo can be sure that Danzo had long ago quietly switched many Uchiha's eyes, and he might even say that he switched them all. He just didn't expect that he would dare to switch Fugaku's eyes. But now it's a bargain for me. Uchiha Fugaku definitely owns the Mangeki Sharingan. There is also a possibility that Uchiha Mikato owns the Mangeki Sharingan. Danzo certainly couldn't know this, but he preserved the eyes of both of them very well, using expensive instruments and preservatives to ensure the vitality of the eye cells. He probably wanted to get information about the Mangeki Sharingan from the eyes of these two people connected by blood to Itaki, since Itachi had activated the Mangeki Sharingan. Or maybe he was planning to make a deal with Itachi and Sasuke by using his parents' eyes when necessary. In any case, he was unable to discover the Mangeki Sharingan, otherwise he would have transplanted them into himself like he did with Shisui's eyes. But Danzo not knowing is a good thing for me. In theory, if Natsuo directly replaces his eyes with Fugaku's, he will instantly become an eternal Mangeki Sharingan. Put them away, put them away. Natsuo acted without hesitation. And it has to be quick, with so many good things, Danzo would go crazy if he found out this place was attacked. Reinforcements will arrive soon. Even Danzo himself might come personally. He sped up his actions, even abandoning without hesitation materials such as cellular tissue samples from Inyazuka Akira and spinal fluid from Yamanaka Kurane, who were elite Jonin-level shinobi. After quickly collecting the spoils of war, Natsuo thought for a moment. Since I was already here, it seemed like I should leave some harsh words, after all no one will know it was me. So, he engraved a few words on the wall. Danzo, you old dog, this is just the beginning. Dare to mess with me, don't think I'll let you off. He then launched the jutsu Great Fireball technique towards the sky before quickly leaving. Not long after Natsuo left, many shinobis arrived. Not only were there root shinobis, but also Konoha shinobis from the surrounding area. Natsuo's actions were too big, and the final jutsu of the Great Fireball technique was like a sign, naturally attracting many shinobi. They acted quickly. The movements were decisive and there was not a single survivor. Where are the enemies? Have they already left? This is the main base of the route, right? How dare someone attack the main base of the route? Everyone looked shocked. Now these inexplicable enemies are becoming bolder and bolder. First, they threw explosive tags to attack Elder Danzo, and now they can cause a commotion in the route's base and leave calmly. The security of Konoha is far inferior to the time when Uchiha was in charge, it has deteriorated significantly. At this moment, Danzo finally arrived. Damn it! Who on earth would dare to attack my route? Danzo's face showed intense anger upon seeing the heavily damaged base. Although he was furious, he couldn't afford to be distracted. He quickly rushed towards the hidden research lab. Although there were backups of research materials like Senju Hashirama's cells in other labs, there were more exclusive materials like Fugaku's Sharingan. However, shortly after entering the base, everything turned black before his eyes. The research lab had been discovered. They took away many scientific machines and countless precious materials, leaving behind only unusable things lying like garbage on the ground. In addition, there was a blatant mocking message engraved nearby. Damn it! Who is it? I will skin you alive! Danzo roared in anger. He felt a surge of rage welling up from his chest, wishing to burn the whole world to ashes. However, at this moment, Elder Danzo, don't you think you should explain what's going on here first? A voice filled with boundless anger rang out. It was a man accompanied by several large dogs. His nose was rough, his eyes filled with killing intent, and his palms faintly revealed sharp nails. Why would the flesh and blood of my older brother, Inyazuka Akira, appear in your root base? Shouldn't you give an explanation to the Inyazuka clan for this? Only then did Danzo suddenly wake up. This is bad. Many of the ninjas here are from major clans. Trouble is brewing. At this time, others also noticed the experimental materials scattered on the ground, especially the words written on the labels they were carrying. Elder Danzo, our Yamanaka clan member, Kurane, died on the battlefield of Iwagakure. Why would her spinal fluid appear in your base? Danzo. My younger brother sacrificed himself on a mission 3 years ago. How could his body end up here? I remember that Sejin was a root ninja and died in a covered mission. I want to ask you, did Sejin really die in battle? Countless clan ninjas' eyes turned red, and endless anger burned in their chests. Finally, it condensed into a chilling statement. Elder Danzo, don't you have anything to say? Chapter 52, There are too many to count. Countless killing intent surged towards Dan's, even though he had experienced 3 great ninja wars and had countless killings under his belt, he still felt a sense of oppression. The members of the shinobi clan were truly angry. These precious materials that were not taken away by Natsuo were all their brothers and sisters. They were willing to die for Konoha and were not afraid. But to be used as research subjects after death, who would be willing? Dan's tried hard to find an excuse, but he couldn't think of anything that could explain this situation. But he was not willing to be captured without a fight. In the end, the situation became so chaotic that the third Hokage had to come and clean up the mess. And so, the next day, as a Jonin, Natsuo heard the news that Shimura Dan's had once again been stripped of his position as leader of the root and his role as advisor by the third Hokage, and was sentenced to 3 years in house arrest. The charges were of incompetence in duty. It seems like the third Hokage has saved Dan's again. Natsuo thought to himself. Although Dan's had been relieved of his duties, the reason for his removal was incompetence. Yes. It had nothing to do with those precious materials from various major ninja clans. Natsuo later learned from some clan leaders that in front of countless members of the ninja clans, the third Hokage declared that all those labels were fake and were a means to frame Elder Dan's by the spies who had infiltrated the root base. Don't believe it? Go to the Konoha hospital for testing. The flesh and blood samples are definitely not from your clan members. Many members of the ninja clans were furious and almost started a fight with the third Hokage. Faking a test report, isn't that simple? We are all ninjas, are you kidding me? Seeing the situation was not going well, the third Hokage immediately stated that Shimura Dan's management of the root was unfavorable, and he would be severely punished, stripped of his position as the leader of the root, and subjected to a series of punishments. Only then did the crowd slightly calm down. But everyone also understood that this was just a means to appease the ninja clans. When the Uchiha clan was annihilated, wasn't Dan's already stripped of his position as the leader of the root? But what is he doing now? Isn't he still the leader of the root? It's just a title. After a while, when everyone's anger subsides and public opinion calms down, the third Hokage will bring Dan's back. So, as many members of the ninja clans left, they took away the materials with the names of their clan members written on them without saying a word. Even though Dan's repeatedly said that these are all ninja materials from enemy villages, they still burned all the remaining materials left in the laboratory without giving the third Hokage any face. The third Hokage turned a blind eye to this and didn't dare to say much. The divide between Konoha and the major ninja clans is too great. The third Hokage is completely biased towards Dan's and represses the ninja clans. Both sides have long been at odds. If the third Hokage continues to maintain power, Konoha will likely fall into chaos. Natsuo thought to himself. In the original work, fortunately a few years in the future, Orochimaru would attack Konoha during the Chunin exams. Otherwise, the third Hokage could have become the first Hokage to be overthrown by his own people. Even Kakashi, who should have been a loyal supporter of the Hokage, was suppressed and couldn't go to support the third Hokage during Orochimaru's attack. Not to mention the other ninja clans. If I think about it this way, could it be that Orochimaru's true intention is to give his teacher, the third Hokage, a perfect ending? The attack on the root base had a significant impact. Although many high-level ninjas were unaware of the dirty deeds of the root, allowing the enemy to enter Konoha village so brazenly, destroy one of Konoha's subordinate organizations, and then leave so openly. It was like a slap in the face to the Konoha shinobi. The police department has once again become the target to vent, enduring the curses of the people of Konoha village. There's no way around it, they are much weaker compared to the Uchiha police department of the past. Tonight, there is no telling how many people have begun to miss the past, when the Uchiha police department maintained the security of Konoha. Then they couldn't help but curse Itachi again. Why did he have to kill all the Uchiha? Even the high-ranking officials like the third Hokage and Dans are cursing their own Anbu and root members because they couldn't uncover the details of this incident and catch the mastermind. What a joke! A cage-level expert like Natsuo attacked a small root base alone. It would be strange if they could find a trail leading to him. Then, the Konoha council gathered and scolded Dans with a few words. After that, the third Hokage's expression became serious. Dans, I think this attacker must have targeted you. Do you have any clues? Natsuo's words, as well as his deliberate use of the fire release to attract countless ninjas to the scene, prove that there is bad blood between him and Dans. Dans pondered for a while. People who hold a grudge against me. Let me think. The Inyazuka clan's Inyazuka Hana should count because my root accidentally made his classmate go dumb during the investigation of his memories. Hyga Nan, a member of the Hyga clan, should also count because her sister accidentally discovered my root's research laboratory with her Byakugan and I silently killed her. If she finds out about this, she should count too. The Kazekage of Tsunagakure should also be counted because he recently guided the Fire Country merchants to lower the purchase price of sand gold, which put Tsunagakure in extreme financial danger. The people of Iwakagure. Damn, there are too many, it's hard to count. Dan's face turned dark. He thought and thought, as if the whole world had a grudge against him, as if anyone could have done this. Can't you find possible suspects? The third Hokage frowned. The person who can kill the guards and quickly retreat before reinforcements arrive must have at least the strength of an elite Genin. Consider that some people may be hiding their true strength, so expand the range to Genin. Don't consider the possibility of someone deliberately investigating your root research lab, then he should be someone who has recently had a conflict with you. Dans, have you had any conflicts with any Genin in the past 3 months? The information about root is not difficult to find, unless someone has been deliberately investigating the root research lab for years or even decades. Otherwise, it's because they recently had a conflict with Dans and attacked out of anger, thus accidentally discovering the lab. Considering the tone of the written message left behind and some details of the investigation, the third Hokage believed it should be the latter. Dans, how many Genin have you had conflicts with recently? The third Hokage asked. Dans fell silent for a moment and then raised his hands. 10. The third Hokage squinted his eyes. His old teammate was indeed bold, offending so many people in just 3 months. And they were Genin. Even for rich and powerful Konoha, high-ranking officials are very few, and it is very troublesome to investigate so many Genin. There are too many candidates. It's going to be difficult to uncover the truth. Even if the Anbu work tirelessly, there's only a small chance they can solve this. Who would have thought that Dans would shake his head and say, 10 fingers are not enough to count? The third Hokage. Chapter 53, Uchiha Madara is right, the first Hokage was wrong. This is so awkward. If before it was already difficult to investigate because there were many suspects, much less so now that Dans can't even be sure how many people he has antagonized in the last 3 months. It is impossible to find the culprit. What's the point of investigating? But I think the culprit should be someone from Konoha village, perhaps a member of the ninja clan. Dans thought for a moment and then said, I don't have any particular reason that can confirm it, it's just my intuition. He really believed it should be like this. Although his enemies are spread throughout the ninja world, both inside and outside the village. But he just felt that it was done by someone from within the village. The only question is who, the Inyazuka clan? The Yamanaka clan? The Hyga clan? He thought of many prominent clans, but he never considered the Uchiha. After all, there are only 2 members of the Uchiha clan left and they don't have the ability to do such a thing. And even Itachi wouldn't risk Sasuke being implicated for this kind of incident. Putting aside his own strength, I doubt they would dare hire ninjas from outside the village to carry out this attack. Also, after the attack on Natsuo, I can no longer make moves against them again within the village. Danzo thought to himself. Even if they had the power to do so, why would they suddenly attack my root base? If for the moment, we can be at peace in the village. Although Dan still thinks that the best Uchiha is the dead Uchiha. But after the genocide, Dan no longer pays much attention to the Uchiha clan. He is now more focused on competing with the third Hokage. After all, there are only a few Uchiha left, they pose almost no threat. If it weren't for his instinctive fear of the Uchiha clan, he wouldn't have even attempted to assassinate Natsuo. I didn't provoke the Uchiha, so how could they possibly do such a thing, right? I think it should be the ninja clan, I just don't know which one. Dan said seriously, I feel that, apart from the Uchiha clan, the others have some suspicion. Of course, the third Hokage didn't take such nonsense seriously. If it were the Konoha ninja clan, there would not be many qualified enough to carry out such an act. Moreover, I had the Anbu investigate, there were only a few elite Jainin without alibis at the time, and they have no significant relationship with you. The third Hokage shook his head. After all, we are well aware of the village's top experts. The top experts of the ninja clan wouldn't be hidden by their families all the time. They also need to come forward to fight for the interests of their families, so naturally, they are known to the higher UPS of Konoha. The sudden appearance of a powerful expert, the possibility is too small. I think the suspicion is greater on the other shinobi villages, they want to sow discord between Konoha village and the ninja clan. The third Hokage said in a deep voice, everyone, it has been more than 10 years since the Third Great Shinobi War, maybe this time. It's a precursor to the Fourth Great Shinobi War. Yuditen Koharu and Mito-Kado Homura instantly became alert upon hearing this. This possibility is very high. It has been more than 10 years since the Third Great Shinobi War, the new generation of shinobi has grown up, and the strength of the major countries has also recovered significantly. Ambitious shinobis like those from the Kumigakure might have already started planning for the next Great Shinobi War. It is not normal for them to try to sow discord between the ninja clan and Konoha, but it is also not impossible for them to carry out such an operation. Dans, don't target the ninja clan anymore during this time, and don't think about revenge. The third Hokage said without hesitation, his expression extremely serious. Now that a major war is approaching, Konoha needs unity. Dans nodded, I understand. The third Hokage was not joking, he had indeed discovered a crisis. Today, Konoha is in a state of decay. The older generation, such as Yuditen Koharu and Mito-Kado Homura, have completely lost their combat power and only care about power struggles. Dans is eyeing the position of Hokage. He is old and Tsunade and Jiraiya are not in the village. Even the strongest of the next generation, Kakashi, has not grown up yet. Perhaps the other ninja villages have identified Konoha's weakness and want to start a major war. At the very least, they are preparing for a major war. Therefore, without hesitation, the third Hokage decides to unite Konoha. He sets aside the policies that suppress the ninja clans and uses one hand to appease the clans with benefits and the other hand to intimidate everyone with the news of an upcoming Fourth Great War. Soon, the news spreads throughout Konoha that ambitious conspirators are plotting against Konoha, trying to weaken it and start a war. For a while, the atmosphere in Konoha is tense, and passers-by have a look of pressure on their faces. Because what the third Hokage said makes sense. After more than 10 years of recovery, all the countries have almost recovered, and the number of ninjas has also returned to normal. And every time there is a great ninja war, it is usually at a time like this. War. It could really happen at any time. As a political mastermind, his methods quickly take effect. Although the ninja clans are angry, they also understand the importance of unity in Konoha. After gaining some benefits, they no longer pursue Dan's responsibility too much. After all, their own people are also on the battlefield. The Anbu and Root ninjas are all mobilized by the third Hokage to infiltrate enemy countries and gather intelligence to prevent any unforeseen events. Konoha enters a tense preparation phase. Konoha begins to enter a tense preparation phase. Ninja tools and food prices rise, and even the Ninja Academy starts to conduct multiple evacuation drills to be prepared for any unforeseen events. And strangely enough, the Uchiha story that Natsuo deliberately spread some time ago has become popular for no reason. Countless people are discussing. What if the first Hokage had agreed to Uchiha Madara's proposal? Wouldn't there be a war now? After all, with the power of the first Hokage and Uchiha Madara, they could definitely conquer the other 4 major countries. If the entire ninja world only had Konoha, wouldn't that be great? Those bastards from the 4 major countries, they were let go by the first Hokage, and as soon as he died, they started a war. If I were the first Hokage, I would have directly wiped out those countries. No need to worry about future generations for these enemies. I think the first Hokage was too naive. He thought that a balance of power would lead to mutual understanding and no more wars. It's just wishful thinking. Even Uchiha Madara's father knew that only interests can truly make people take action. Yet, the first Hokage was too soft-hearted. Not only did he not wipe them out, but he also sold the tailed beasts to other ninja villages. In the last war, I was almost killed by the Bijidama of the 2 tails. Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara, 2 people wiping out 4 countries. It would have been great if the first Hokage had listened to Uchiha Madara. Countless people let out a collective sigh. Uchiha Madara probably never imagined that after decades, the people of Konoha would miss him so much. They even look down on the first Hokage and respect him more. I wonder if he knew about this in the Pure Land, would he feel very comforted? Chapter 54, Idol of the Ninja World, Uchiha Madara. The reason why the people of Konoha suddenly like the character of Uchiha Madara in this story is mainly because they feel that they are about to go to the battlefield. Uchiha Madara wants to annex the other 4 shinobi nations, permanently eliminate the threat, and establish a system centered on Konoha. Regardless of the consequences this may have on other countries, it is definitely a big plus for the shinobi of Konoha. The most direct benefit is that they don't have to risk their lives on the battlefield themselves. Therefore, both the ninjas who are about to go to the battlefield and their loved ones praised Uchiha Madara and privately expressed, the first Hokage was really nosy. Uchiha Madara had proposed such a good suggestion. Even if you don't accept it, you can let him complete this mission himself. Now, look at what you have left for the Konoha shinobi. The 4 nations you left behind have become enemies of Konoha and have nearly laid siege to Konoha in almost every shinobi world war. If it weren't for the ninja villages starting to backstab each other, Konoha would no longer exist. The tailed beasts that you sold to other ninja villages have also been on the battlefield several times, causing heavy losses to the entire ninja world. Why can't you just listen to Uchiha Madara's words? Look how true they are now. Countless ninjas sighed. Of course, such politically incorrect words definitely cannot appear in public. The first Hokage is great and far-sighted. He did this for the sake of peace. But in private, everyone couldn't help but complain with a few words about the first Hokage. In fact, not to mention these ninjas who have never seen the first Hokage, even the older generation of ninja who admired and willingly served under the first Hokage to build Konoha together couldn't help but complain a few words about the first Hokage. It is the descendants of many of them who would have to go to the battlefield. Why did we spare the lives of the other 4 nations back then? So, under these special conditions, Uchiha Madara, who was forcibly expelled from Konoha by countless people in the past, unexpectedly gained a large number of fans. Some people support him because they are about to go to the battlefield and support the ideals of peace that Uchiha Madara mentioned in the story told by Natsuo. Other people admire Uchiha Madara's dominant style in the story. Even Danzo, who should have been banned, openly stated, "If I had a say back then, I would definitely support Uchiha Madara's proposal and let the first Hokage unify the ninja world and bring true peace." Of course, as the representative of the Hawk faction, his main intention is to express that the first generation was wrong, and he and the second generation made a mistake by choosing the indecisive third Hokage. They should have chosen me back then. You should support me now too. If I become Hokage, I will definitely unify the ninja world with force like Uchiha Madara and create peace without leaving regrets for future generations. You all should come and support me. Don't make the same mistakes as the first generation and the second generation. After Shimura Dance made this declaration, he actually gained a group of supporters. The dark clouds of the impending war were already oppressive, and many shinobis and civilians who were tired of the endless wars of the ninja world chose to join Dance and speak up for him. For a while, even the negative impact brought by the recent root incident was greatly reduced. The third Hokage was not to be outdone. He immediately gave an inspiring speech. Although he didn't explicitly say it, he vaguely implied. Fellow Konoha members, please fight hard and don't let our descendants in the future blame our weakness like we do now. Although he didn't mention I want to learn from Uchiha Madara. He was still talking about the same thing. Of course, whether it was the third Hokage or Shimura Dance, or many older generations ninja, they didn't really think that the first Hokage was wrong back then. The situation back then was different from now. The village system had just started, and many systems were not yet perfected. The trust between ninjas was very low, even among ninjas from the same village, many were long-standing enemies, and there was no unified external environment like now. Was it being soft-hearted to spare the four nations? But the second Hokage Senju Tobirama, who also belonged to the Hawk faction, supported the first Hokage's decision to spare the four nations back then. Senju Tobirama believed that ninjas were born for war, and once they lost enemies, the main source of income for ninjas, which was war missions, would no longer exist. They never expected that the entire ninja world would be engulfed, and that Konoha would be under siege by the four nations, with bloodshed every time. The older generation of ninjas only complained because their children and grandchildren were about to go to war. Whether it was the third Hokage or Shimura Dance, they both knew deep down that the first Hokage had made the right decision back then, and that Konoha was not prepared to unify the ninja world. But that didn't stop them from putting up signs that said fight like Uchiha Madara, fight with unwavering determination, and leave no regrets for future generations to boost the morale of the ninjas. There was a lot of activity in Konoha's preparations for war, and the news quickly spread to other countries. The sentiment of missing Uchiha Madara also spread along with the news of Konoha's preparations, in a way that confused Natsuo. From Konoha, it spread to the Land of Fire. And from the Land of Fire, it spread to the Uegakuer, the Kumigakuer. After receiving the intelligence about Konoha's war preparations, the four nations immediately became alert. They understood, just like the third Hokage did, that the fourth Great Ninja War could very well break out after more than a decade of rest. So, they all gave public speeches to boost morale and inspire their people. The third Raikage, said, "We, Kumigakuer, will never be indecisive like the first Hokage. When we strike to kill. The great shinobi of Kumigakuer will not leave any regrets for future generations. Prepare yourselves for battle." The second Tsuchikage, Noki, said, "Even Uchiha Madara couldn't defeat the Will of Stone of the Uegakuer back then. Now it's time for our Will of Stone to defeat Konoha. We will not make the same mistakes as the first Hokage." The fourth Kazekage, Raza, said, "The harsh environment of the Land of Wind has forged our resilient character. Every shinobi of Tsunagakuer will not be as weak as the first Hokage. We will become resolute warriors like Uchiha Madara." Even the smaller countries, though they didn't have much presence, also voiced their opinions. Of course, most of what they said was along the lines of even Uchiha Madara couldn't conquer us back then, so you great nations have even less chance now. To strengthen the fighting spirit of their own ninjas. But more or less, they all mentioned Uchiha Madara. For a moment, Uchiha Madara became the idol of the entire ninja world. Every ninja could hear his story. Even the members of Akatsuki understood the ideals of this legendary ninja. Kisame sighed deeply, his expression complicated. Peace, hey? Perhaps his idea is the most realistic and likely to be achieved. Perhaps there will be many sacrifices. Sasori said calmly. But it would be justified if it is possible to achieve peace. Although I was spared by the first Hokage back then, I should acknowledge his intentions. Kakuzu said in a low voice. But his indecisiveness is one of the main culprits behind the current Great Ninja War and the suffering of countless lives. Konan remained silent. In a peaceful world, tragedies like ours might not happen, right? Nagato couldn't help but stare at Obito for a long time, then sighed deeply and spoke. Did you also want to establish rules with force and interests, just like me? Isn't this similar to how I wanted to restrain the ninja world with the power of the 10 tails? Obito looked embarrassed and quickly responded. Ah, yes, we're all on the same page. You have inherited my will and have these eyes that were born for this purpose. You will definitely do better. However, privately, Itaki and Tobi exchanged glances. Tobi, did that old man really think that way? Why did I hear him say that he was killed by the first Hokage because he wanted to use infinite Tsukuyomi? Itaki, as the son of the clan leader, how come I didn't know that our clan also recorded this little story? But that guy who called himself Uchiha Madara admitted it, so maybe this story is true. And as the instigator of everything, Natsuo was completely dumbfounded. I just made up a story, now everyone wants to become Uchiha Madara fans. Chapter 55, Is War Coming? This situation has really exceeded my expectations. Natsuo helplessly slapped his forehead. Uchiha Madara has unexpectedly become a popular figure, admired by the entire ninja world. And the ninja world was filled with the smell of gunpowder, with an atmosphere that seemed as if a war could break out at any moment. This is completely different from the original story. Natsuo understands that this is his own butterfly effect, because he has attacked Dans twice, causing Konoha to feel a great sense of crisis. And Konoha's increased security has also raised the vigilance of other countries. Spies from all sides are frantically dispatched, conducting mutual surveillance, and the hidden struggles instantly escalate. The ninja world has been resting for a long time, so it's not surprising that a major war could break out at any time. In fact, in the original plot, if it were not for the fact that during the Chunin exams 3 years later, the Kazekage and the third Hokage were killed by Orochimaru, causing both ninja villages to lose their leaders at the same time, the Fourth Great Shinobi War would have broken out at any moment. Don't be fooled by the fact that the Fourth Great Ninja War was a joint effort of the 5 great nations against Akatsuki. In reality, if Obito could wait a few more years, the ninja world would have started fighting on its own. When their strength becomes formidable, they naturally want to gain more benefits, which will naturally lead to more conflicts. All nations have rested and recovered to some extent, so it's time to act. Well, I still got a lot of benefits in this last attack on Root's base. It's better to use those precious materials and research equipment, and not continue to provoke Dans and the others. Natsuo thought. Lest Dans reacts in an extreme way and interrupts my plan to revive the Uchiha clan. Natsuo dug a large hole underground beneath the Uchiha Maternity Center and put up a warning barrier, then threw all the things he got from Dans into it. Especially Fugaku and Mikato's eyes, he kept them carefully. And Uzumaki Kushina's blood, he placed it together with the above 2 items in the safest core location. As for materials like Namikaze Minato's bone marrow, they were in a secondary position. Take good care of them, maybe I can revive Uzumaki Kushina in the future. After arranging various instruments, connecting the power supply, and properly storing the materials, Natsuo finally began his own research. I don't need to seek immortality like Orochimaru does. Natsuo thought. What I need to investigate is how I can give ordinary ninjas more powerful abilities. Things like the Manjiki Sharingan, Sage Mode, and Wood Style that Orochimaru hopes to obtain are not Natsuo's goals at all. Even if these things can be researched, can they be used by Natsuo's wives who only have the strength of Chunin? Can they control them? That's a joke. My first goal will temporarily be to develop my own version of Orochimaru's cursed seal. As a low-level substitute for Sage Mode, although the amplification is weaker, it is enough to give Chunin-level ninjas the combat power of Jonin level. However, while Orochimaru doesn't hesitate to use the cursed seal on his subordinates, Natsuo must reduce the mortality rate of the cursed seal and make it safe and controllable. Jago's cells are already in place, and I can also observe Anko's cursed seal up close. Isn't it easy to copy Orochimaru's work? Let's get started. While Natsuo was busy with his research, the scent of gunpowder in the ninja world intensified. The Anbu and the Root have already come into conflict several times on the borders of the other major countries. Due to the large number of enemies, they often find themselves at a disadvantage. At this time, even the ninja clan no longer demands severe punishment for dance, because dance has always been Konoha's sharpest weapon, both internally and externally, and is very powerful. Although the third Hokage's ban has not been lifted, dance has already left and officially taken control of the Root, and the shinobi of Ninja Clan have also started to support missions outside. Finally, they fought on equal terms with other major countries. The scent of gunpowder within Konoha village is also strong, with the prices of ninja tools continuously rising, and the prices of minerals also increasing, allowing the Uchiha, who manage mines, to make a fortune. Although Natsuo is distracted by his research, the revival of the Uchiha clan, his main job, has not been delayed. Due to the thick smell of gunpowder, some kunoichis who are not good at fighting have taken on the task of having children to revive the Uchiha clan, hoping that by marrying into the Uchiha clan they will no longer be sent to the battlefield. As a result, Natsuo's harem has once again expanded, making the third Hokage so angry that he wants to cancel the Uchiha clan's mission. But they are all ninjas. At this time, when facing an impending war, manpower is precious. War is about to begin again. Kurane sighed softly, touching her swollen belly, with a face full of lamentation. I hope it doesn't break out too soon, otherwise, how can I go to the battlefield in this state? You have it easy, you're not a relatively powerful ninja anyway. Her best friend, Anko, also sighed. I'm more worried about Natsuo. Natsuo is a Jonin. Once the war breaks out, the village won't let him stay at home, then. Of the Uchiha clan, only one adult ninja remains. But this is also the fate of a ninja, they have no choice. They can only sigh like everyone else and say. If the first Hokage had listened to Uchiha Madara back then, it would have been better, and end the topic. Kurane sighed lightly, she was also very worried about this issue. After all, he is the father of the child in her belly. And thinking about Natsuo, Kurane's face suddenly turned red. But speaking of which, Kurane. Anko suddenly leaned over. Kurane was startled, what are you doing? Nothing, I just noticed that you suddenly blushed, are you thinking about our husband? Anko smirked. If you want, should I call him over for you? You're pregnant and need attention right now. Kurane gave Anko a glare. He's your husband, I didn't marry into the Uchiha clan. But I see you two being quite intimate. Anko covered her mouth and smirked. Kurane looked embarrassed. Although they couldn't do anything because of the pregnancy, cuddling and hugging seemed to have become a habit. After all, he is the father of the child in my belly, can I not let him listen to the baby's movements? Kurane wasn't lacking in money and had a proud personality. Natsuo would never force her. But as a father, it was only natural for him to listen to the baby's movements, right? When listening, he had to put his head against her belly, right? To prevent the pregnant woman from getting tired from inconvenient movements, it was reasonable to put his arm around her waist, right? After cuddling, it was normal to carry her back to the room, right? And occasionally, when she found it difficult to move, he would feed her a few bites of food, worry about the water being too hot and help test the temperature with his lips, help her with a towel when it was inconvenient to take a bath. Although it seemed like they hadn't done anything, it was all normal. But it felt like they were just a step away from doing something more intimate. Yes, you're right. Anko nodded with a grin. I believe you, you two are pure. Even if you hug my handsome husband every day, I believe you don't have any other thoughts. Even if my husband has 8-pack abs, a well-defined chest, beautiful lines, and broad shoulders. But I completely trust you. I believe you've never thought about touching him. Feeling the hardness of those muscles. Why Kurane? I'm not a pervert. Why Kurane rolled her eyes. But even she had to admit that although Natsuo had a harem, it made independent women like her somewhat resistant. But his appearance was really outstanding. An extremely beautiful appearance, coupled with a perfectly toned body, as well as having the charisma to make women laugh uncontrollably. It was actually pretty good. Because of that, she slowly began to accept Natsuo, but at least she could still show some posture, not to the point of looking at her beautiful appearance and acting like a pervert. Karin, that little girl, was the real pervert. A few days ago, she caught the little girl peeking at Natsuo while he was taking a bath. She was about to scold her, but Karin hurriedly ran off and went into the bathroom. Kurane approached out of curiosity and heard some strange sounds, and her expression instantly became one of shock. How old is she? Chapter 56, a top-level scientific talent. Under Natsuo's persistent efforts, before long, Uzumaki Yoko also became pregnant. After Uzumaki Yoko found out that she had become pregnant, she was finally able to breathe a sigh of relief. After what both she and her daughter went through in Kusagakuer, she felt a sense of crisis all the time, but now that she was expecting Natsuo's child, she now felt like she could be part of his family. During this time, she sought favors in various ways and Natsuo also always agreed. But it's unknown whether it was because her body was too weak before, she unexpectedly didn't get pregnant for a long time. Now she has finally succeeded, and she also breathed a sigh of relief. It's just that she subconsciously distanced herself from Karin, perhaps feeling that it was unfair to Karin, she didn't want her to see her growing belly. Natsuo, on the other hand, felt quite regretful. Uzumaki Yoko herself is not bad looking, but her body that was too weak made her not look as beautiful. But with the slow recuperation in the Uchiha family, she finally regained the normal physique of a kunoichi. Her charm is very captivating. Now that she's pregnant, it's a bit of a pity that she can't do anything more. However, her child is obviously even more anticipated. Meanwhile, Natsuo is worrying about something. The Uchiha clan's money is a bit tight. Natsuo was a bit confused, but upon careful consideration, it doesn't seem so strange. With the approaching war, prices are rising, consumption is decreasing, and the Uchiha clan's income is inevitably affected. And expenses have increased instead. In order to escape the war, a large number of kunoichi chose to marry into the Uchiha clan, and the rewards they received were quite substantial. At the same time, Orochimaru's rewards were also a large sum, as he didn't need ninjutsu and his monetary compensation was double that of a regular genin. In addition, there were some valuable instruments that Natsuo had previously purchased, although he had already obtained them from the root, he couldn't return them. Because that would be telling Konoha that he was the one who attacked the root. At the same time, the demand for Natsuo's children was increasing. His first child is now 2 years old and is about to receive basic ninja education. The cost of medicinal baths, harmless toy ninja tools, various entertainment facilities, all of these expenses add up to quite a sum. With all these expenses, even Natsuo, who inherited the wealth of the Uchiha clan, began to run out of money. I need to make money. Natsuo sighed. I never thought that even after inheriting so much wealth, I still can't escape the need to earn a living for my family. However, he was met with a disdainful look from his wife, Yukino. Have you ever thought about how many children you have? In any case, there was no other way. It was for the sake of supporting his family. First, he reviewed the current state of the Uchiha clan's assets. Affected by the war, the rental income of shops in the Land of Fire had declined, and the profits of merchant caravans had greatly decreased. Although there were increases in profits from mining and weapon trading. Overall, the income from these inherited assets of the Uchiha clan was on a downward trend. Of course, it wasn't just the Uchiha clan's income that was declining, other ninja clans were also not faring well, and the entire Konoha felt the depression. On the other hand, the Uchiha entertainment street that Natsuo himself established became a unique phenomenon of prosperity in Konoha's economy. The more chaotic the war, the more prosperous these places became. Because many people were living day by day, not knowing if they would see the sun rise again, they naturally wanted to enjoy themselves when they had the chance. Currently, the shinobi were in a phase of crazy consumption. Of course, most of the people who spend money to vent are men. After all, it's too easy for women to find a one-night stand. Even slightly unattractive women can easily find someone to hook up with. It seems like I have to focus on women as my target. Natsuo thought to himself. Male shinobis never know when they will leave the village for a mission, so the housewives are the main force behind spending during this time. Then he started working in the home appliance and cosmetics business. He placed cosmetics and skincare products in the club and had his employees promote them to young women who are more interested in maintaining their beauty. He also placed coffee makers, fans, hair dryers, and other home appliances in the club, but instead of promoting them, he actively let the housewives experience the feeling of using these appliances, thereby arousing their desire to purchase. In reality, these devices had been developed a long time ago in this world. In the original work, we can see that when Naruto graduated from ninja school, he took a box of expired milk out of the refrigerator. But even though they had been developed, because shinobi have a conservative mind and are more concerned with training their strength, their use has not become popular with everyone. Natsuo aimed at this market gap. While acquiring other factories, he also built his own research institute to develop more modern household appliances. Natsuo looked at the young man below and thought to himself. Moreover, I have also found a dependable researcher. No Katasuke, I appoint you as director of the Uchiha Research Center. I hope you can research more advanced motors as soon as possible, with low noise, high efficiency and energy saving as standards, and strive to improve the performance of the products we have now. Yes. Lord Natsuo, I will do my best. No Katasuke said excitedly. You may go now, work well. Yes. Lord Natsuo. No Katasuke respectfully said, his heart filled with passion, but he left Natsuo's office in a submissive manner. He was just a young man, about 16 or 17 years old. His ninja rank was only genin, and in Konoha, he could be considered trash, just slightly better than ordinary civilians. Such a weak and inexperienced young man was noticed by the patriarch of the Uchiha clan, Natsuo, receiving a large salary and being appointed director of the Uchiha Research Center. It was obviously a huge blessing. Lord Natsuo values me so much, I must not let him down. No Katasuke secretly vowed to himself. He didn't know it, but Natsuo was also extremely happy. I have found a treasure. Natsuo thought to himself. But who could have imagined that this weak young man was a genuine scientific genius? No Katasuke, the genius scientist of Konohagakure, head of the Special Department for Scientific Ninja Tools, ninja rank, Takubutsu Jainin. In simple terms, this guy was the creator of the scientific ninja tools in Boruto, and he was also a doctor in engineering, medicine, health sciences, ninjutsu, and more. However, no matter how strong a genius is, they will have periods of weakness. Despite his great achievements in developing scientific ninja tools in the future, he was only a special Jainin. Clearly, his own strength was severely lacking and was holding him back. Right now, he was just a small genin, slightly better than someone like Might Guy, but still looked down upon. But the weakness of his own strength did not affect his research talent. What Natsuo saw was his talent. I can entrust the industrial side to him, there should be no problem. No Katasuke's representative work was scientific ninja tools, mainly specializing in industry, unlike Orochimaru, who was an all-around researcher. But it was enough. 1 month later, the Uchiha clan received good news. Yi Kurane gave birth. Chapter 57, I'm just doing it for the child. Offspring +1, the comprehensive potential evaluation is 121, you gain +10 mental power, would release secret technique, nativity of a world of trees. This is the boost brought by Yi Kurane's son. The +10 bonus to mental power is equivalent to the combined power of 5 or 6 ordinary children. This is probably what a genius ninja looks like. Natsuo sighed in his heart. Compared to Uzuki Ijao, Yi Kurane is slightly stronger in strength and slightly more talented. Coupled with Natsuo's own growth, the potential of the child has increased significantly. Even the rewarded ninjutsu has improved a lot. Would release secret technique, nativity of a world of trees, this is Senju Hashirama's ninjutsu. Natsuo thought to himself. He found a place to evaluate it when he had some free time, and its power was indeed impressive. However, it consumes a lot of chakra and Natsuo still cannot match the level at which the first Hokage releases this jutsu. But as Natsuo continues to grow, he will soon be able to catch up with the first Hokage. By then, the power of his wood release will be able to match that of Senju Hashirama or could even be even stronger. After Yi Kurane gave birth to her son, several wives also gave birth one after another. Among them are several Jonin-level kunoichi. However, even though they are Jonin-level kunoichi, their talent seems to be far inferior to Yi Kurane and Uzuki Ijao. Their average evaluation score is around 80, with the highest score being 95. Although they have surpassed Natsuo's first wives, they have not yet surpassed the 100-point mark. Naturally, Natsuo accompanied his wives one by one, making them smile and assuring them that he would take care of them and their children. However, Yi Kurane's expression seemed a bit gloomy. After giving birth, it seemed like she no longer had any reason to stay in the Uchiha clan. At this moment, a large hand gently grabbed her hand. Kurane. Natsuo's eyes were deep, his voice full of sincerity, can you stay a little longer? Just consider it as staying to accompany me. Yi Kurane turned her head and said, I don't want to join your harem. This is not the life I want. Is that so? In the end, I'm still not good enough for you. Natsuo smiled bitterly. But even if you don't consider yourself, you should consider the child, right? He has just been born and needs the company of his parents, and intimate care. Can you stay for him? Yi Kurane opened her mouth, looking at Natsuo's pleading expression, and her heart softened. Very well, I'm doing it for the child. After all, the Uchiha clan's child care system is the most complete, and so far, there hasn't been a single problem. The Uchiha clan has never spared any expense in recruiting people from Konoha Hospital. When it comes to maternal and child safety and care, it has always had the best of the best. Uchiha babies are not without sudden illnesses or difficult deliveries. Although Natsuo takes good care of them, with the increasing number, occasional problems do occur. But the costly medical care ensures that every child is born healthy, and so far, there has not been a single stillbirth. Every child grows up healthy and happy every day. In fact, these children receive rewards from the system the moment they are born. The future life and death, strength and weakness of the children will not affect Natsuo's strength. But they are still his own children. Natsuo naturally wants to take good care of them. For this reason, Yi Kurane feels that it is very reasonable for her to stay in the Uchiha clan for a while longer. Thank you, Kurane. Natsuo said, instantly turning from bitterness to happiness, showing a sincere smile. He tightly embraced her delicate body, his arms exerting force as if he wanted to merge her into his own body. The corners of Natsuo's mouth lifted, clearly happy, but she said, "I'm only doing this for the child, don't think too much." However, she didn't see Natsuo's smile becoming meaningful. For the child? Could it be that the Konoha hospital is so much worse than the Uchiha family's child rearing? How is that possible? If she really wanted to leave, she would have to take care of so many problems. But now that she will stay in the Uchiha clan because it has a complete child care system, she no longer has to worry about anything. When the boy grows up, will he have to stay longer because of the boy's future ninja education? When the child gets a little older, will you have to stay longer for the child to have a complete family? Now that you've entered the Uchiha clan, do you still want to run away? Natsuo smiled and remained silent. Uchiha clan reception room. So, they really made a move. Natsuo raised an eyebrow. Just a few ordinary people, daring to provoke shinobi. Natsuo's new business in the home appliance industry had just begun to develop and the Uchiha clan's assets were under attack again. And what they targeted was not something else, but the most profitable metal mines and weapons industry in the current atmosphere of war. The official authorities of the Fire Country directly seized the Uchiha clan's mines under the pretext of strategic reserves. Yes, meow, but facing the power of the authorities, it's difficult for us to take action, meow. Meow-san, an old acquaintance of Uchiha Natsuo, licked his paw and said, "It is said that who is behind this movement is not the nobles or merchants of the country of fire, but it is the daimyo himself who directs it, meow." The daimyo? Hey! Natsuo squinted his eyes. It seems that it's not just me who's short of money, even the daimyo has started to need some money-making methods. With the war approaching, the Fire Country naturally had to fully support Konoha, and a series of expenses were beginning to put a strain on the Fire Country's finances. Even the leader of the Fire Country, the daimyo, was becoming poor. And what do you do when the leader of the Fire Country becomes poor? Of course, you find a way to make some money. It seems they have forgotten the deterrent power of attacking, but it's not surprising, after all, some time has passed. Natsuo nodded, showing understanding. Although the Uchiha clan relied on attack as crazy killings to deter a group of people, any deterrent has a time limit. Now everyone is poor, under the stimulation of poverty, they naturally forget the fear they had at that time. Moreover, with the emergence of Akatsuki, many people felt that it was not the Uchiha who were terrifying, but Akatsuki was strong. The Uchiha clan was left with only one adult member. How could they deserve to occupy such a good industry? The desire in their hearts slowly turned into action, ultimately resulting in suppression from the authorities. Natsuo, what should we do, meow? Meow-san raised his head curiously. It seems we can't rely on Akatsuki's power this time. I heard they are very busy now. Yes, there is that. Natsuo nodded. Even Kakuzu has considered taking leave because there are too many missions now, many of which have good rewards. The most profitable ones in war are naturally the military groups. Not only Akatsuki, even the Konoha shinobi have become busy. One expensive mission after another keeps coming up. Even if Natsuo wants to hire Akatsuki to solve the problem, they wouldn't be able to spare any manpower. In that case, there's no other way. Natsuo sighed helplessly. Meow-san nodded. Yes, the daimyo has made a move, and shinobi cannot attack the daimyo. It seems we can only take a step back. Natsuo, it seems we can only get rid of that idiot daimyo. Meow-san, ah. Chapter 58, Uchiha Itake visited the daimyo. You want to kill the daimyo? Meow-san's eyes widened, its soft fur standing on end as if it were startled. Yes, is that strange? Natsuo replied calmly. Of course, it's strange. Meow-san jumped up in surprise. How can a ninja kill the daimyo? Natsuo raised an eyebrow and asked in return, why not? But he is a person with enormous influence, how can you attack him? Miao-san was astonished and quickly said, Natsuo, don't do this. We can actually use the Konohagakure's channels to negotiate with them. Please don't go to extremes. Listening to this, Natsuo just smirked. The ninja world is strange. As people with enormous power, ninjas must still treat daimyo and other national leaders as if they were superior to them. Even Tsunagakure, constantly affected by reduced financial support, did not consider putting pressure on the daimyo. Not only Tsunagakure, even the rogue ninjas were very careful before even threatening the daimyo's safety. In the original work, a group of wandering ninjas called Watari ninjas had to spend a lot of time carrying out a complex conspiracy in order to have the opportunity to take over the land of birds. But despite having the power to easily kill ordinary people, they always hesitated before doing anything to the nobles or the daimyo. Natsuo asked, why can't we kill the daimyo? Miao-san naturally replied, the daimyo is a noble, of course we can't attack him. It hasn't come to that point, right? Yes, the main reason they couldn't do this was ridiculously based on the nobility of the daimyo. Of course, this is not surprising. Because the ninja world is a world based on a feudal system. Because Natsuo is a transmigrant, of course something like nobility wouldn't stop him, but he's also not foolish enough to ignore the enormous influence the daimyo have on the world. As long as he does not have the power to wipe out the entire ninja world, he cannot openly go and threaten or kill the daimyo. If someone dares to attack the Uchiha clan, then it's only right that someone retaliates, isn't it? Natsuo's mouth curved into a smile. Miao-san felt extremely anxious. His common sense told him that he shouldn't let Natsuo do this. But it couldn't stop Natsuo, so it could only say, then Natsuo, how about I ask Akatsuki? I can offer them more rewards, maybe they will accept your mission. It's useless. Natsuo shook his head. We can't afford it for now. Attacking the daimyo, as the leader of the country, is equivalent to attacking the entire nation and would lead to hostility from the entire country. Even for mercenaries like Akatsuki, attacking the daimyo is a different level of mission compared to eliminating officials and nobles. The Uchiha clan is indeed wealthy. Even though Natsuo spent a lot and also diversified into the home appliance industry, he still has several hundred million in cash. But this level of mission reward is not something that can be solved with just several hundred million. He can't come up with this reward. I have to do it myself. Dressed in black, Natsuo walked slowly towards the capital of the Fire Country. Before leaving, under Miao-san's numerous requests, he finally relented and said he could negotiate with the daimyo to see if they could resolve the issue. If the negotiation goes well, he will be there for communication. If the negotiation fails, he will be there to kill. Of course, as the leader of the Uchiha clan, Uchiha Natsuo would never do something as dangerous as threatening the daimyo. Only someone as cruel and arrogant as Uchiha Itachi would do such a thing. So Natsuo transformed into the face of Uchiha Itachi, wearing the uniform of Akatsuki, and even wore the forehead protector with a scratched-out symbol. This outfit is quite fitting. He walked straight towards the palace where the daimyo resided. And soon, the guards stopped him. Who are you? The guard asked arrogantly. What are you doing here? Natsuo calmly replied, I am here to see the daimyo. Oh? Pay respects to the Lord? Do you have a letter of request for an audience? The guard hesitated and asked. I don't have a letter. No letter? Then are you from a noble family? Not really. Do you dare to come to see the Lord without saying anything? Do you think he can see anyone? The guard exclaimed. Oh? He will receive me. Natsuo slowly raised his head, revealing a pair of sinister Sharingan. I am Uchiha Itachi. The next second. Boom! Intense flames soared into the sky, accompanied by a loud explosion. The deafening sound was heard clearly even by the lord inside the tower. He trembled and angrily shouted, Who is it? Go and see what happened. Yes. Immediately, guards appeared and went to investigate. At the same time, several ninjas appeared, standing beside the daimyo. Their eyes showed a hint of vigilance and surprise. They also knew that the ninja world had been in turmoil recently, with conflicts between major countries, on the surface and in secret, almost leading to direct warfare. Could it be that someone wanted to attack the daimyo's mansion? But why attack the daimyo? Don't they know that there is an agreement not to attack the daimyo? Even if the fights go to the extreme, the nobles cannot be threatened. If it comes to that, the other daimyo will put a bounty on their heads, and they will be hunted throughout the world. It's not an enemy attack. The daimyo calmly said. Relax, it might just be someone accidentally triggering something. As the daimyo, he naturally understood that the ninjas would not harm him. How could ninjas possibly harm him? The chaos in the ninja world was the ninja world's problem. The ninjas could fight and kill each other, but it shouldn't affect him. However, at this moment, boom! A figure was thrown from the gate, crashing through the door and sliding all the way to the daimyo's feet. Surprisingly, it was the samurai who had just been sent to investigate. Who is it? The daimyo was furious. Who dared to intrude into his tower and offend his noble existence like this? But the next second, tap, tap, tap. The sound of footsteps echoed in the room. I heard that the Lord has been targeting the Uchiha clan's properties recently, presumably because you have some dissatisfaction with the Uchiha. Natsuo's figure slowly appeared. He calmly glanced at the daimyo and the ninjas and samurais who were on high alert beside him. I, Uchiha Itachi, have come here to pay my respects to your excellency. Chapter 59, Uchiha Itachi attacked the daimyo? Uchiha Itachi. That Uchiha Itachi, the one who annihilated his clan. Damn, what are you doing here? Are you planning something against the daimyo? Upon hearing the self-introduction of Uchiha Itachi, the numerous ninjas immediately became tense. Even the daimyo furrowed his brows. Before he laid his hands on the Uchiha clan's assets, he had heard of this name. But isn't Uchiha Itachi the one who annihilated the Uchiha clan? Why would he come here to kill me? But, regardless of his motives, he must die, thought the daimyo of the Land of Fire while frowning. He looked at the expensive carpet on the floor, stained with the blood of the samurai thrown by Itachi, and said disdainfully, "The price of dirtying my carpet is high. Kill him." Yes. The ninjas responded in unison, then surrounded Itachi with a murderous aura. Natsuo glanced at them. They all had quite good strength, equivalent to Jainin level. I remember that the 12 guardian ninjas had disbanded before the annihilation of the Uchiha clan. Are these the ninjas recruited by the daimyo? Natsuo asked. The 12 guardian ninjas were the 12 elite ninjas responsible for protecting the daimyo of the Land of Fire. They were the daimyo's private independent direct force. Asuma had also served as a member of the 12 guardian ninjas for a while. However, they were disbanded due to internal conflicts because 6 ninja guardians, led by Kazuma, wanted to overthrow the Hokage and destroy Konoha. Unexpectedly, the daimyo had recruited a group of ninjas with decent strength. Uchiha Itachi, daring to threaten the daimyo, you shall redeem yourself with your life. The captain of the ninja team's voice was filled with killing intent as he brandished his kunai and attacked. Attack together! Kill him! At the same time, the surrounding ninjas and samurai all rushed forward. In response, Natsuo only gave them a cold glance. Genjutsu, Sharingan. The first ninja captain who charged forward was hit by a genjutsu, becoming immobilized. His momentum was quite good, but his strength was lacking. As the ninjas charged forward, the first ninja to arrive in front of Natsuo was grabbed by the hands holding the kunai, and with a slight force, he swung his arms around, using his own kunai to stab his throat. He then continued to do the same with the rest of the ninjas, while he moved among them as if he were dancing. Blood splattered everywhere, but it couldn't stain Natsuo's clothes. When Natsuo finished killing the last ninja, he grabbed his lifeless body and threw him towards the charging samurai with their swords. Bam! Several samurai were knocked down directly, falling to the ground, and then Natsuo stepped on them as he approached the daimyo. All this happened in the blink of an eye. The guards inside the tower had already fallen. This sudden change shocked even the daimyo, who was originally sitting securely. Cruel. Cold. Yet the movements were full of beauty. Natsuo calmly stepped over the bodies under his feet and arrived in front of the genin captain, who was the first to attack him but was immediately trapped in his genjutsu. This was just an ordinary genin, far from being as elite as the ninjas from the 5 great shinobi village. In front of him, he had no ability to fight back. Natsuo gently pushed the genin, and the genin fell directly onto a samurai sword on the ground. Blood flowed, wetting the ground. How is this possible? He's a genin level. The daimyo's eyes were red. A hero who can take on hundreds alone, a renowned existence in the ninja world. How could he be easily killed? Do you think that just because you are the daimyo, you can recruit any of the true elite ninjas to protect you? Natsuo scoffed. The previous 12 guardian ninjas were made up of 12 skilled ninjas from across the Fire Country, but many of them were either part of Konoha or related in some way. These 12 guardian ninjas may have seemed strong during the initial development of the Naruto series. The strongest, Asuma, only reached genin level. And this genin captain was much weaker than Asuma. So Natsuo, now that he has been strengthened with the system, can kill him so easily. But the daimyo found it hard to believe that a single person could be so strong. The daimyo had personally witnessed the genin captain using the wind release to deal with enemies. The powerful wind release directly broke the enemy's formation and then launched into a chaotic massacre. But in the end, he was killed by Uchiha Natsuo so easily. So, I really can't understand why someone like you, a waste, would dare to make a move against my Uchiha clan. Natsuo shook his head and walked slowly. He went straight to the daimyo and lifted him by the collar of his robe as he crawled to try to escape in a panic. Come, let's discuss first, Natsuo calmly said. May I ask, esteemed daimyo, why do you want to attack my Uchiha clan? Do you know the heavy price of attacking my Uchiha clan? Natsuo's voice was calm, it even seemed like he was speaking to the daimyo with respect. But the hidden killing intent in his words surged like waves, one after another, rushing forward. It felt as if he would strike directly in the next second. Wait! Uchiha clan! The daimyo racked his brain, trying hard to seize a chance to survive. I remember you're not from the Uchiha clan, right? Aren't you a traitor? When he attacked the Uchiha clan, he conducted an investigation. He knew that there were only a few Uchiha left, a couple of harmless kittens. That's why he dared to be so unscrupulous and made a move on the Uchiha clan's properties. Who would have thought that the genocide heir, Uchiha Natsuo, would actually knock on his door? Yes, I killed my entire clan. Natsuo continued to say calmly in the cold tone of Uchiha Natsuo, but I'm still an Uchiha. The belongings of the Uchiha clan are my belongings. My belongings are only temporarily left in Konoha for safekeeping. Since you dared to lay hands on my belongings, I assume you must be prepared to die, right? We've discussed enough. You can go die now. As he spoke, he casually grabbed a kunai and was preparing to kill the daimyo. His movements were neither fast nor slow, but there was no hesitation. An endless killing intent was released at the same time. Wait! The daimyo shouted, if you kill me, you will definitely face retaliation from Konoha. I am already a rogue ninja of Konoha, Natsuo said with a light laugh. Damn it! It seemed to be true. I have money. I can give you money. The daimyo struggled for survival, his forehead covered in cold sweat. How much cash do you have? Won't it have to be transferred through a bank? Natsuo sneered. I am a rogue ninja, and bank transfers can easily be blocked. I can give you many of the industries of the Land of Fire. Uchiha Itachi, am a rogue ninja. Do you really think I can legitimately own any industries? Natsuo said disdainfully. Uchiha Itachi began to bring the kunai closer to the daimyo's neck. In that instant, the daimyo's life flashed before his eyes. Then an urge to survive overcame him and only one thought remained in his mind. He must survive. This phrase was repeated over and over again in the daimyo's mind. Finally, before Natsuo's kunai pierced his skin completely, he found a glimmer of hope. I can give it to Uchiha clan. The daimyo shouted, yes. As the daimyo of the Land of Fire, I should reward the Uchiha clan for their years of hard work for the Land of Fire. 10 billion in cash, mining rights for 10 mines, shops on 3 commercial streets. These are the rewards I give to the Uchiha clan. Hearing these words, Natsuo finally smiled and let the daimyo go. So that's how it is. Since you have this idea, then you should be a qualified daimyo. He smiled. Although I am a rogue ninja, I actually have great respect for daimyo who work for the country and the people. So, it turns out that a hero like you still has a patriotic heart. The daimyo gasped for breath, tremblingly took out a handkerchief from his pocket, wiping away his cold sweat. I think I should contact the Hokage and cancel the bounty on this hero. No, let the bounty remain. After all, no one can claim it. Natsuo said indifferently. Since you are a daimyo who works for the country and the people, I bid you farewell. I hope you continue to be a good daimyo who solves people's problems. Otherwise, one day I will have to chat with you again about the truth of the world. The truth. The daimyo was somewhat confused. But Natsuo smiled and said, the truth is in my hands. The daimyo unconsciously looked towards Natsuo's hand. Only to see him holding the kunai stained with a bit of his own blood. The next day, the daimyo suddenly had a change of heart, feeling that the Uchiha clan, who had served the country and endured hardships, should not have ended up in such a tragic situation. So, he not only recalled the personnel who had taken over the mines from the Uchiha clan, but also rewarded the Uchiha clan for their service to the country. First, it was a huge amount of cash, followed by the most profitable mining rights, some weapons factories and the shops on the bustling commercial streets. For a while, everyone was dumbfounded. What's going on? Is the daimyo of the Land of Fire really so righteous? Many astute individuals knew the truth of the matter. But they were even more dumbfounded than those people. When the third Hokage received this news, he was completely stunned. What? Uchiha Itachi attacked the daimyo of the Land of Fire. How is that possible? Chapter 60, Uchiha Itachi is out of control. The third Hokage was dumbfounded. It couldn't possibly be Itachi. How could Itachi, who loved Konoha and the Land of Fire so much, do such a thing? It must be someone impersonating him. The third Hokage said without hesitation. But who could be impersonating Itachi? Is it an unknown Uchiha? When Natsuo attacked, he made no effort to conceal his Sharingan. The three tomo, such a distinctive feature, was naturally seen by many guards who were not killed. This is also the main reason why many people doubted that Uchiha Itachi was being impersonated. There were only 2 possible users of the 3 Tomo Sharingan on the surface, and they were Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Natsuo. And Natsuo, who had already given up the glory of the Uchiha and had weaker strength, obviously could not have accomplished the feat of infiltrating the Land of Fire Palace where there were 3 Genin guards. Although in the eyes of real strong ninjas, those daimyo guards were all trash, but Natsuo couldn't even be a match for a single one of them. So, the only possibility left was Uchiha Itachi. It's not impossible. Dans pondered for a moment and said, I remember that recently the daimyo seemed to have made a move on the Uchiha clan's assets. Wasn't it Itachi who retaliated when someone attacked the Uchiha clan's assets before? It might be him this time. The third Hokage frowned. That seems to make sense. But in the end, he shook his head. No, I don't believe Itachi would go after the daimyo. Such behavior is too outrageous, and Sasuke might be implicated. I think someone is impersonating him. The third Hokage paused and said, I will contact Itachi later and ask about the situation. Dans remained silent. He didn't trust the Uchiha, not even Itachi, who helped Konoha exterminate his own clan. But at this moment, he was thinking about another question. Could the person who broke into the root research lab and left inscriptions be Uchiha Itachi? Among the stolen materials, were there Fugaku and Mikoto's eyes? Could it be that he learned something and then targeted the root? Dans fell into contemplation. Meanwhile, in Akatsuki. It wasn't me. Itachi's face turned dark. I've been with Kisame these past few days. Who's framing me? His face darkened, and his brows furrowed. Attack the daime? He would be insane to do that. But according to the intelligence, that person does indeed possess the Sharingan. Obito also found it strange, his brows slightly furrowed. It's not you, and it's not me. Could there be another Sharingan that I don't know about? Could it be Uchiha Natsuo who always thinks about having children? Hey, is there a possibility that it's not from the Uchiha clan? Zetsu suddenly proposed a possibility. Obito's brows furrowed. Didn't White Zetsu investigate and find traces of Sharingan Genjutsu on the bodies of the deceased? No, what I mean is that the person does indeed possess the Sharingan, but they are not a member of the Uchiha clan. Black Zetsu said, what if it's a ninja with a transplanted Sharingan? Like Hitaki Kakashi. As soon as these words were spoken, Obito and Itachi fell silent. Of course, Kakashi would never do such a thing, but there was one person who might not hesitate, Dans. He has in possession the largest amount of Sharingan in the ninja world today. With the power of the root, it wouldn't be difficult to secretly cultivate a skilled individual with Sharingan. Cage level may not be achievable, but with elite Jonin level ninjas cooperating with the three Tomo Sharingan, and some well-placed setups, it may not be impossible to achieve all of this. But why is he causing trouble at this time? A war could break out at any moment, and he wants to start an internal conflict? Could Dans be trying to instigate the nobles to attack the Uchiha clan so he can finish exterminating them? When Itachi thought of this possibility, he couldn't sit still. He stood up and said, I'm going out, you should know what I want to do. He doesn't care about the other Uchiha, but Sasuke must not be harmed. Obito and Black Zetsu nodded. They knew that Itachi was probably going to go out and show his strength to deter Dan's ambitions. But before Itachi could take a step, suddenly, a white Zetsu appeared out of nowhere. Something's not right. Uchiha Itachi has started killing again. Several high-ranking officials and nobles who have previously targeted the Uchiha clan have all been wiped out. And this guy doesn't even bother to hide. He shows his face in broad daylight, wearing our uniform, with no intention of hiding. We need to stop him. This will easily create more enemies for Akatsuki. Wait, why are you here, Itachi? Aren't you supposed to be assassinating the nobles and high officials? Looking at Uchiha Itachi, White Zetsu was confused. Obito looked at Itachi in a daze, also confused. Uchiha Itachi was the most confused. Who the hell is using my name to do such things? Since Natsuo already made a move, he might as well fix the root problems once and for all. Likewise, no matter what he does, it is Uchiha Itachi who will bear the responsibility. It's all for Uchiha. Anyone who dares to insult my Uchiha clan must die. So, he did not hesitate to find several nobles and high-ranking officials who had targeted the Uchiha clan and slaughtered them directly. Natsuo, as Natsuo, I am weak, and I only want to revive the Uchiha clan. As Itachi, I become the Uchiha's wrath. And when he returned to Konoha, the reward from the daime had already been given to the Uchiha clan. Natsuo immediately said to the daime envoy, as a member of the Uchiha clan, it is our duty to serve the country. As the head of the Uchiha clan, I cannot accept such a generous reward. Please return this reward to Lord Dami. Envoy. Take back the order. Can I dare to do that? But in the end, he could only bring the rewards back to the capital of the Land of Fire. The Dami reissued the rewards to the Uchiha clan. And Natsuo, after an enthusiastic statement about the Uchiha clan's selfless sacrifice for the Land of Fire, could only reluctantly accept the reward. Natsuo's continuous refusal was seen by observant people like Dans, who secretly nodded in their hearts. It's obvious that he is very concerned about Uchiha Itake's current involvement in the murders. The person who attacked the Dami is most likely not him. Many people thought the same as Dans, and the already small suspicion diminished even more. As Natsuo finished dealing with the Dami's envoy, he was approached by someone else. Natsuo, have you heard any news about Itake? Sasuke's face was cold, his teeth clenched. Chapter 61, with the mentality of a warrior who goes to the battlefield. Sasuke, with a face full of killing intent, looked at Natsuo. Natsuo sighed deliberately. Yes, you don't know, but recently, the assets of the Uchiha clan were suppressed by the Dami, and the government even almost revoked our mining rights. And you know what happened just now, the Dami suddenly backed off and even commended us. Of course, from what I know, Itake attacked the Dami of the Land of Fire and exterminated many influential and high-ranking officials. Although it's not good to say it like this, but Itake did help us. Sure enough, it was Itake. Sasuke's eyes were filled with anger, and his teeth made a grinding sound. Natsuo, we Uchiha must have ambition. We can't accept this. I turned them down, but they refused to take no for an answer. Natsuo sighed lightly, pretending to be helpless. And you may think that as long as we don't accept the Dami's reward, it has nothing to do with Itake. But do you think anyone will dare to attack our Uchiha clan's businesses or properties in the future? Whether you accept it or not, these are all benefits brought by Itake. Or should we just sell off all of Uchiha clan's assets, just to avoid owing Itake a favor? Sasuke opened his mouth but couldn't say anything for a while. Even as a child, he knew that the Uchiha clan couldn't sell off all their family assets just because of a personal unwillingness. That would make him a sinner of the clan. But those were also benefits brought by Itake. He really didn't want them. Why did that bastard Itake suddenly do such a thing? Sasuke's face was filled with anger, and he angrily said, clearly, he killed everyone, so why does he still pretend to help? We don't need his help. This time, it really wasn't him helping. It was me pretending to be Itake. Natsuo thought to himself, but on the surface, he sighed and smiled bitterly. According to the intelligence, Itake seems to regard Uchiha clan's assets as his own. Perhaps he still plans to conquer Konoha in the future and inherit the entire legacy of the Uchiha clan. Although this explanation was full of loopholes, Sasuke still believed it. Mainly because he couldn't think of any other reason. I won't let him succeed. Sasuke gritted his teeth and rushed out with a determined look on his face. It seemed like he was heading to the training ground to continue training. Although Sasuke was young, he understood that he didn't have the ability to refuse Itake's help. Just like when Itake spared him out of kindness back then. The only thing he could do was to train hard and fight for justice. Bang! 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 Sasuke fiercely pounded the wooden stake. Becoming stronger required accumulation over time, but he couldn't think of any other quick methods to become stronger. No, there is actually a way to become stronger quickly. Sasuke gritted his teeth. That is the Sharingan. The Sharingan wasn't the only way to become stronger, but Sasuke knew that it was the only way he could defeat Itake. Yes, those unique eyes, just like Itake's. Mangekyou Sharingan. The key point wasn't whether unlocking the Mangekyou would guarantee victory, but rather, this was the only path Sasuke could see to defeat Itake. Even Itake told me that only with eyes like his can I stand in front of him. Sasuke understood very well. Even he knows that this is the only way I can defeat him. Perhaps because Natsuo was still there, the pressure of reviving the clan was shared with him. The current Sasuke is more rational than the original Sasuke, and he can see his brother's strength more clearly. That was someone who awakened the Sharingan at the age of 8, became a Chunin at the age of 10 by passing the Chunin exams alone, joined the Anbu at the age of 11, and single-handedly annihilated the Uchiha clan at the age of 13. Now, Sasuke is almost 10 years old, and his strength is considered good in the Ninja Academy. But even if he is arrogant, he doesn't think he can compare to Itachi, when he was the same age. Opening the Manjiki Sharingan is indeed difficult, and there may be no hope in a lifetime. On the other hand, training like now, although it requires time and accumulation, can gradually become stronger. This path is much more realistic than hoping to awaken the Manjiki Sharingan. But the key is not which path is easier, but which path can lead to victory. Evolving the Sharingan. Sasuke mused to himself. He awakened the Sharingan when Natsuo took him to the nightclub. Sasuke thought it was like that, but in reality, he had already awakened it the night of the Uchiha clan genocide. If he wants to evolve his Sharingan, maybe he should go there again and see if he could achieve it. For the Uchiha clan, I can't give up on becoming stronger just because of a small matter. It's just a club, not a dangerous place. There's no reason not to go. Why always rely on Natsuo? Sasuke's gaze was firm, and with determined steps he headed towards the club. Subjectively he acquired the mentality of a warrior about to go to the battlefield. Sasuke going to the nightclub on his own was something Natsuo hadn't expected. If he had known, he could have followed it, recording this beautiful moment to mock adult Sasuke in the future. Or maybe he could casually bump into Sasuke at the nightclub. And then see what expression Sasuke would have. But now he was ignorant of this situation, and simply watched happily at the increase in the Uchiha clan's income. The reputation of Uchiha Itachi, who killed many officials and nobles of the Land of Fire, as well as attacking Adami, was gradually spreading. The Uchiha clan's assets stabilized in an instant. This is the deterrent power of a cage-level expert. Especially when this cage-level expert has no attachments and fears almost no one's retaliation. That's almost unbeatable. In fact, most powerful rogue ninjas are like this. Although they have no fixed abode, their lives are carefree. Almost no village would send Anbu to hunt down these S-rank rogue ninjas because it's impossible for a mere pursuit team to kill these experts. Orochimaru played with human experiments and attacked Konoha with Otagakure and Tsunagakure in the Naruto series. In the end Konoha only issued a token reward and sent a few miscellaneous shinobi to hunt him down to keep up appearances. For a time, almost everyone who had greedy intentions towards the Uchiha clan's assets had their desires extinguished. Natsuo was very pleased with this. Money is powerless when facing top-tier existences. But in ordinary circumstances, it is quite useful. Although Uzuki Ijao, Yi Kurane and other elite kunoichi brought great benefits to Natsuo, but the people who really made Natsuo as strong as he is now, are the countless ordinary wives, who in the plot of the Naruto series do not they have names and are unknown. But leaving aside the fact that their relationship began as a simple exchange of interests, they are now part of her life. The number of his wives has now expanded to more than 40 people and is the basis of Natsuo's strength. And if he wants to support a large number of wives and give them the life they deserve as part of his family, money is essential. Just take advantage of the strong influence of Uchiha Itachi and intensify the promotion of Uchiha clan products. Natsuo immediately made a decision. Especially Uchiha Electronics, which has low popularity but great potential. We can definitely promote it. How to promote it? Of course, with ads. Although the shinobi world still does not have television or computers for common use, but movies have already appeared. Natsuo decided to make a high-end lifestyle film filled with Uchiha Electronics and use it as an advertisement to expand its influence. And during the casting process, he unexpectedly came across a familiar name. Fujikaze Yuki. Chapter 62, Everything is to be able to restore the land of snow. Fujikaze Yuki? Isn't she the only daughter of Satsuo Kazahana, the former daimyo of the land of snow? So, she has already become a film actress. Natsuo was surprised and started to think. Kazahana Koyuki, stage name, Fujikaze Yuki. She is the princess of the land of snow. 10 years ago, her father lost his position as daimyo to her brother, and she was taken by loyal servants to another country, eventually becoming a film actress. Although she is not as famous as she will be in the future, she already has a considerable reputation and qualifies to be the spokesperson for the Uchiha clan. Moreover, perhaps because she is not yet that famous, the price she quoted is also very economic. Good quality at a low price. Alright, it's her. 3 days later. Fujikaze Yuki and her agent, former minister of the land of snow, Asama Sande, arrived at the Uchiha clan residence. It's definitely an honor that Fujikaze Yuki was chosen by you this time, Asama Sande smiled. Although Yuki is still young and not as famous as other female stars, her talent is one of the best. I believe she will not disappoint you. I think so too. Natsuo smiled slightly. I was attracted by Miss Yuki's extraordinary appearance and future potential and chose her. Asama Sande said, you truly have exceptional insight as the head of the Uchiha clan. You can see Yuki's potential at a glance. The two chatted and praised each other on business matters. Fujikaze Yuki also sat there with a smile. Perhaps because of his royal origin, his etiquette carried a dignified air that ordinary people could not imitate. His soft smile also gave a feeling of genuine closeness. She is very beautiful, even among Natsuo's wives, she is in the top tier. But there seems to be a hint of unwillingness between her eyebrows. Natsuo glanced at her but didn't think too much about it. The main focus was still on discussing with the agent, Asama Sande. They talked and confirmed the shooting date and cooperation for the later stage of promotion and signed the agreement. Asama Sande took out a bottle of wine. Let's go, Lord Natsuo. Asama Sande smiled. This is a good wine from the land of snow. I've been saving it for several years. To celebrate the successful cooperation between us, let's have a toast. Oh? A good wine from the land of snow. Natsuo raised an eyebrow. I heard that people there like to drink strong liquor because of the cold weather. Of course. Asama Sande proudly said, the men of the land of snow, we all grew up drinking strong liquor. And even in some situations, we like to drink to liven things up. And it is said. Asama Sande suddenly lowered his voice, showing a familiar smile to the men. The older the wine, the more it helps a man's performance. Natsuo smelled the wine and immediately showed a meaningful expression. Then I'll have to do my best. They both toasted. And Fujikaze Yuki also helped with the toast. Not much later. Thud. Natsuo suddenly fell on the table. Hey, truly a ninja. Even though the drink was drugged, he was still able to drink so much. Even I, who had taken the antidote early, could barely resist, but he on the other hand took a long time to fall. Asama Sande sighed in relief and burping. Sande, I think maybe. Fujikaze Yuki bit her lip. Your Highness, please do not hesitate, Asama Sande said with an extremely serious expression. Do you know how difficult it is to gain the support of an incredibly powerful ninja clan? With the power of the Uchiha clan, which is currently the most influential, we will definitely be able to save the land of snow. What's even more precious is that Lord Natsuo is known for being friendly towards women and very responsible. As long as you work hard today, he will definitely use the power of the Uchiha clan to help us restore our country. Princess. Without hesitation, Asama Sande knelt on the ground while still smelling of alcohol. Please make a decision. Fujikaze Yuki, now as Princess Kazahana Koyuki, opened her mouth to want to say something, but her eyes were filled with confusion and doubt. Do we really have to do this? She hesitated, feeling lost and helpless. Princess, please hurry. Asama Sande urged, this is the Uchiha clan. Although I have sent the maids away, there may be ninjas appearing at any time. Please show your determination. Princess Kazahana Koihoki opened her mouth, finally sighing. Sande, can we really restore the land of snow? We can. Asama Sande said firmly. With the support of the Uchiha clan, we will definitely be able to defeat Yokogakure and successfully restore our country. All right. Kazahana Koihoki sighed lightly. Or rather, wasn't this a decision she had already made long ago? Sacrifice his own body and rely on the power of the Uchiha clan to defeat the shinobi of Yokogakure and restore his country. For my father's sake, I will take this bet. Kazahana Koihoki forced a bitter smile. After all, this is the last chance. If this doesn't work, she will have lost all hope. It has been 10 years. Asama Sande has been urging her every day, and she is already tired. She slowly approached Natsuo, her delicate hand touching his chest, about to remove his clothes. Once I take a look, this guy is indeed quite handsome. Kazahana Koihoki forced a bitter smile. Is this considered a consolation? After all, he is the one she is about to lose her virginity to. And at this moment, a soft voice sounded. Oh, I was wondering why you would drug me. Turns out you want to restore the land of snow. Natsuo, who was originally unconscious, suddenly opened his eyes, devoid of any confusion. For the sake of restoring your country, you deliberately set up this one night of drunkenness plan. It seems that everyone has the wrong idea about my attitude towards women. I thought you came to cooperate with me, but I didn't expect you to want to sleep with me. Natsuo seemed a little troubled as he smiled. This is quite problematic. It seems that I won't be able to drink with others so easily in the future. Asama Sande widened her eyes. Kazahana Koihoki's delicate hand was still pressed against Natsuo's chest. She blinked in surprise, then exclaimed and backed away in panic. You. Weren't you high? But Natsuo simply smiled and said, your charm is really dazzling, but not to the point that it makes me charmed so easily. Hey, why are you running away? You wanted to sleep with me, right? Then do it. I promise I won't resist. Why are you running away so quickly? Natsuo looked at Kazahana Koihoki, who had almost already left the reception room, with a strange smile on his face.
Thanks for listening.